After like really talking out these emotions, I realized like, hey, like I don't need to do this. I am choosing to because I'm a great content creator. I don't need to do it every day. Even though sometimes it feels that way, because sometimes when you take those breaks, it feels like you're taking 2 steps backwards, take 1 step forward.
It should put it into perspective for a lot of people listening, that you look at Garrett and you're like, this guy's got it all figured out. He's fucking nailing it. He's also asking himself his own questions. Garrett, man, welcome to the pod. I'm so stoked to have you on. I love hanging out with you in Austin, and I'm excited just to learn more about your journey.
Yeah, I had an amazing time meeting you in person, and you let me know about your amazing thing you guys are doing over at Pipeline. So I was like, oh my God, let's collaborate somehow. Let's do something. So here I am. Thanks for having me. What do you want to know? Where do I start?
One of your slogans is everything should stay on the battle bus. Is there anything that didn't stay on the battle bus that came out over the last 10 years?
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Fortnite. Been playing Fortnite since the release. No, everything stayed on the battle bus. Those videos have been somehow some of my most viral, like animations lately for the channel. So for context, all the listeners and viewers, I now have, I think we're getting to 9 YouTube channels collectively at like 7 million subscribers across all of them, and then a lot of them inactive. So I think I have right now 2 active channels that I'm posting regularly on, not including shorts channels. So if you include shorts channels, I have 4 total active channels. So 2 shorts and 1 gaming that's Among Us focused, and then 1 that's reaction gaming focused. It's definitely been a very interesting journey, but animations lately this year have been crushing it. It's very interesting because I've done a lot of this content before, but you know, on YouTube, there's this cycle that you can go through very easily that, hey, if something has done well for you in the past, redo that in a better way, upgrade it, somehow change it a bit for a new audience that may not know who you are. I see it every day. Like I can redo something I did a few years ago, make it better, switch it up, and it just blows everything out of the water. So it's been cool to see that.
It's pretty nuts. We just did an episode on short form content. I mean, Stone, we're talking about how it's like changed his content in the last few years and getting new audiences in. How have you found like short form content and like the impact that's had on you? Because I mean, you have now what, over 3.5 million followers on TikTok. Like, what's been the impact of your content in the last few years?
It's been crazy. So me and my team really focused on short form on TikTok, especially when it came out, and then really went hard on YouTube Shorts when it dropped. But the problem that we ran into is that short form content is incredibly hard to monetize. At one point on TikTok, I think we were getting like 200 million views a month. And then on YouTube, we were getting 160 million views a month on the shorts. And the revenue from those were less than $10,000 a month. Not like combined, just like individual. They didn't even reach, I think TikTok, the most I had in 1 month was like 4 or 5 grand. And then on shorts, I think the most was like 4 grand. Now, if you had those same views on full length videos, you're looking at easy like 400 to like $1 million. Like that's a huge difference. Sorry, 400,000 to $1 million, not $400. We went pretty hard on short form. Our short form content grew because we were just taking the long form content and bringing it down to short form that like for highlights. We like it a lot because it's what everyone's going to. Attention spans of viewers are getting smaller and smaller, and they need something to keep them, you know, hyper active and their brain stimulated. So like they just love short form. But I really struggle with making sense of the short form content if it's not on a specific channel. So all my short form content are on short form channel specific.
Can you break out? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So when we did a reaction, we have a reaction channel, let's say. We don't post our short form content on that channel. We made a separate channel for the shorts. I personally have always seen when YouTube rolls something out experimental, like they were experimenting with shorts, and then you start uploading the shorts on a non-shorts channel, it sometimes really messes you up. This was a thing of the past. So I experienced this firsthand on my JoblessGarrett channel. When YouTube gaming first launched, their streaming, I guess, subsection of YouTube, when they had that gaming.youtube.com, which no longer exists, that was completely separate. You uploading 4-hour, 5-hour streams or like the VOD to your channel as a video. Because before, when you would end your YouTube stream, so you would send out notifications when you went live. And then after your stream was done, you would send out another notification to your subscribers that your stream ended, but it's a video now. So it would go, JoblessGarrett's live. then it would go, JoblessGarrett has uploaded a new video once you ended. So in theory, you're like, oh man, this is great. At the time, I was like, this is fantastic. I'm double dipping. I'm sending my subscribers 2 notifications for the same piece of content, one at the beginning, one at the end. What I didn't realize that all the people that weren't clicking it from the first time was always negatively impacting me. So with short form, when we launched our short form content channels, we thought, okay, average view duration, the length of when someone watches a video, let's say a 10-minute video, and they watch 50%, so they're going to watch 5 minutes, is really important. But if I have a 60-second short form content and they watch 30 seconds of that, that's going to look really bad in comparison to the long form videos. So we decided, hey, let's not even run the risk because all our channels are super healthy, even though there is huge incentive in short form because it is an instant juice to your channel for subscribers. So it's like you have to balance it. A lot of the bigger creators nowadays, MrBeast, Preston, or TBNR Frags, all of them that I can name off the top of my head have created separate shorts channels because of that risk. So we tried mitigating the risk that we would run into with short form by making separate channels for them.
Based on your experience with the live, you're like, that's why I'm doing that, or was it you seen everyone else who started with shorts? You were like, okay,
no, it was definitely a trauma related event. So my JoblessGarrett channel is my first baby, like the first channel I ever launched. Started 11 years ago with 2 friends, my best friends still to this day. I've known them for over 15 years. I was super excited to stream on that channel, and YouTube was doing all this beta testing on my channel back then for all the new features. And I was like, oh my God, new features. What could go wrong? Little did I know that like really experimenting on something that's healthy can really make it unhealthy. And then like if it goes in that direction, it could be like, hey, why did that happen? And they don't even know either because it was all experimental, but you were the experiment. So like after that, I made all these new channels because like I couldn't make JoblessGarrett work anymore. And then I just did what I did on the short form channels, and then everyone else was doing it as well. So I was like, oh, I guess I must be doing something right if everyone else is doing it. So
yeah, I want to get back to just the crazy operation that you have, but you were talking about experimenting. We were hanging out a little bit at South by. You were there for the Facebook event, and you made the decision to make a transition to Facebook. I think it was just over a year ago, maybe about a year ago now.
Yep.
What was behind that decision? Why did you make the switch?
I was also a full-time streamer on Twitch beforehand. So I still do all my daily uploads. Previously to this year, we were actually uploading 120 pieces of content a month, collectively getting like, I think almost 250 million views across everything: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. When we stopped uploading as much, because lately I've been focusing very heavily on quality of life and quality of content without putting out too much content, reduce the quantity and increase the quality. And my revenue is still about the same. So I reduced to about 30 videos a month total from 120. And I just focus on like really, really, really making sure that every video, like the mantra is like, would MrBeast upload something like this to his channels, right? Like setting the bar really high, like, hey, like what could be better? Really instilling in my team, hey, like let's make sure we are crushing it, which led me to make the transition to Facebook. So I've had this mindset for a while where I was like, man, like I really want to do more. And on Twitch, I was already like top 1%. I was getting like anywhere between 3 to 7,000 current viewers on Twitch, absolutely crushing it. I have a group of guys that I collaborate with all the time named the Chain Gang, and we do GTA 5 RP. They were getting anywhere between 5 to 25K concurrent across each of them, and there's a total of 7 of us. We got an opportunity with Facebook Gaming, and they wanted to do something epic. And with how big Facebook is as a platform and how many users they literally have at the push of a button that are accessible to them, unlike any other platform, we were like, yo, this sounds like a surreal opportunity. We will have some people that know us on the Twitch side, and we can still collaborate with people on Twitch, but we'll be known as like the gang that all went to Facebook and reached a new audience. So that's why we made the jump. It was for that additional opportunity of reach that we weren't getting on the current platforms we were on. And we're happy where we're at with Facebook. We're doing our best every single day to make the platform grow, but growing a streaming platform is not an easy task.
It's not.
It's a whole mindset. You have to convince people that, hey, this platform is good. And it's very hard when they're convinced that other platforms are number one. So
Yeah, I mean, 3 billion monthly active. That's a fair sized pool of
yeah.
audience to kind of go after monthly active. So it's a challenge. It's an
Mhm,
entirely new audience on that front. You mentioned the group, the Chang Gang. So you guys
mhm.
are a crew, been together for a while. You made the decision to go together versus one of you making the jump, or just a couple of you. Like, what kind of went into that process rather than just one?
I think with Facebook, it was very important for us to stay as a group. Everything we do collectively on this live streaming front. So my live streaming and my YouTube are very separated. All the stuff I do on YouTube is very separate to other aspects of my business. So streaming is like, I would say like one third or maybe like actually like one fourth of the income, and then YouTube takes up the rest. So we had one individual. His name's Rory Kevin. He's been like my day one. I met him when he had like 2 viewers. He had just started streaming 3 weeks in. I met him on an RP server and was like, "Look, man, like I was blown away because he was a great content creator at the time. 5 years ago, I was already at 1 million subs on JoblessGarrett. I was like, "Look, man, I want to make more content with you. I love our interactions. Let's do something." I started doing more and more stuff with him, and we had hilarious interactions to this day, and it's been nothing but fun times. I had emailed a agency and was like, "Hey, like my good friend is leaving or his contract's ending with Twitch. I know that you've worked with other large names in the space. Would you be able to make something happen for him?" So like initially, I just cold emailed a guy I didn't know, an agency I've only heard of, and was like, "Hey, can you make something happen for him? These are his numbers, his statistics. He's worth working with." And they came back with, "We'll see what we can do." A month later, they secured him a Twitch deal and a Facebook deal. And then he had the option. And that's when we discussed. And I was like, "Man, you got to go with Facebook. The opportunity is here." Like they're the thing that they're saying, the thing they want to build and they want to grow alongside you. Like it's really hard to get in that position where you can grow alongside a platform. So then after all of our Twitch contracts started ending, Facebook made it very apparent that they wanted the whole gang. They wanted everybody. Like they wanted to dominate the space. So it's super exciting because I was like, it just came from a small little email interaction I had with one individual that opened so many doors. And then I have a really good friend at Facebook that works that I've known for 10 years that used to be my YouTube manager. So like it all got connected. So it all happened really seamlessly, but it's been definitely a lot of good communication trying to make the platform exactly where we envision where and they envision it to be the greater good.
I was there for 3 years. I know it can be a challenge to build from a brand new platform, but a lot of folks that are listening they're just starting out, right? So you've got a
Mm-hmm.
system, a team, you've got an army around you.
Yeah.
You've got so much experience. If you were just going to start today, like you're just going to go out there, what is the thing that like out of all the experience you've got, you would just like, I got to do this thing, right?
Yeah. I think if you are starting today, you have to know going into this, you will fail. And it's okay to fail in the beginning because your failures will bring you knowledge that you didn't have. And like you're going to run the huge hiccups where you're like, "Man, like I can't compete. I can't like you can't start today and be like, I'm going to beat MrBeast videos." Right? Like right out the gate because you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the team, you don't have the time, you don't have all the things that he has, the resources available to him. So without the resources that individuals have starting today, I think the best thing that they have to help their success is just garnering the knowledge of what they want to do. And that's maybe the hardest thing to do. Figuring out, hey, this is the type of content I want to make and then stick with it. I'm not sure if you had a lot of variety guys come on the channel where it's like they'd have YouTube channels where they have like they play like 50 games in 5 years where they're just like jumping game to game. Like nowadays, I don't think that works as well as sticking to a focus. And then if it doesn't work, making a new channel for a new focus.
Okay. I
Does that
want to,
make sense?
I know it absolutely makes sense, but I want to
Okay.
dig into that because there's playing the game, right? There's like, this is a
Hmm.
game and you
Yep.
decide if you're going to play it or you're not going to play it. And if you want to win, you play the game. And I'm sure you've asked
Yep.
yourself that question so many times over the years.
Hmm.
Do you have to play the game?
My answer of my experiences and my expertise is you have to play the game because the algorithm will eat you up and spit you out. And the algorithm doesn't give many opportunities And when it does give you an opportunity where it lets you shine, you need to take advantage of it. You need to run with it and make as much content as you possibly can on what the algorithm wants you to do. And you'll get indications and you're like, oh, well, Garrett, it's not the algorithm, it's my fans. Like, well, listen, I know you may want to upload that video of Dark Souls to your channel, but you forget that you're not a Dark Souls YouTuber. So the people that will be watching your video will most likely negatively impact your overall channel health because you're uploading content that they already don't want to see. And if they don't want to see, then the algorithm is going to see, well, why, if the people that love you don't want to see it, then why would anyone else want to see it? And you get into this cycle where you're like, you're trying to be happy by uploading what you want to upload. But unfortunately, the algorithm doesn't let you be happy if you're not a massive, very, very few YouTubers can upload whatever they want. Very few and have major success. And the success I'm talking about is like 100,000 to 1 million views per video. Like that is like in today's terms success. But if you want to get like 10,000 views, 15,000 views a video and you want to just coast and you're having fun, then it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish, I think.
Yeah, it feels like at every stage there's like a question you ask yourself is like, do I want to go to the next level? Do I want to make the sacrifice to go to the next level?
And I've been in those positions many times, especially lately. So I have an Among Us channel. It's called Gary Blocks. Before it was Among Us, you can assume by the name, it was a Roblox channel. And I did everything I possibly could to make Roblox work on that channel. And it was working, but it wasn't hitting the highs that I wanted to hit because my goal when I look at games and channels is I determine, hey, what is the biggest guy in this category doing? So you look at Minecraft, let's say, right? Or you look at Fortnite, or you look at Among Us, and you look at these categories. You're like, okay, well, like, what is the number one YouTuber getting in this space in views per month? And then you think, well, hey, if I got 10% of that person's viewership, would I be happy? So you break it down even further. Hey, if I got 5%, would that make me happy? Right? Because then you have something you can work towards. There's a higher ceiling. But if you jump into a game and you're like, okay, I want to be the biggest Risk of Rain streamer, which is like, you know, an older game, you know, not huge following. Like it's possible, but your ceiling's a lot lower. There was times on my Gary Blocks channel where I even contemplate like, hey, like Roblox isn't working. It took me 7 months to transition from Roblox with constantly posting quality Among Us content for it to the algorithm be like, hey, we'll promote this. Because all the subscribers I had gained were from Roblox and they did not want to see Among Us. So I was shooting myself in the foot. But if I would have just started a new channel, I would have had way greater success. Because for some reason, if you know what you're doing and you have a good system in place, you have good thumbnails, good titles, good content, the algorithm will reward you if you're launching something new because you're filling a gap that is there. It literally is such a game. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
All right, talking about the game, your thumbnails are just they're awesome. If you were to break down the thumbnail, like what is the kind of basic parts of a thumbnail that people need to like think about when they're attacking their thumbnails?
When you're creating a thumbnail, you want a thumbnail that best represents the first 30 seconds of the video you are currently making. It's something that clearly describes what the title is. And when someone's like, you should be able to see your thumbnail and without knowing the title of the video, be able to say, this is this, right? So doing everything you can to paint the picture of, hey, like let's pretend you built out of wood a giant iPhone, right? In your thumbnail, you would have a picture of you on the side, and then next to you, a giant iPhone. We did that recently on a reaction hacks video on one of the channels that we reacted to some guy who built a giant iPhone. And it's very clear. It describes exactly what people can expect going into it. The problem that a lot of young streamers run into that try doing YouTube is they'll get an insane video. They're like, oh my God, I just went like nuts in this Call of Duty video, right? In this game. But the problem is that they'll just slap on a regular Call of Duty gameplay like picture and be like, that's my thumbnail. What I like to do, and all you guys listening and watching should ask yourself, if that wasn't your video, would you click on it? And if you say yes, you're lying to yourself. Because if you're new, there's so much better content that other people are clicking on besides yours. You got to think like your video is going to be alongside 7 other guys' videos is yours going to be number one that people are going to click? And it makes you think like, holy, I really need to improve my quality, because sometimes people just like think that they're going to throw something up there and it's going to get millions of views, and there's so much science to behind all of it. It's crazy. I think early stages for a lot of newcomers to the space, if you're doing it for the last year or 3 years, like you need to be boots on the ground. Like you have to learn as much as you can. I think in today's day and age, it's hard because let's say you have funding and you have money that you want to go out and spend for someone to make edits for you, right? And you've never edited a YouTube video in your life, but you want to hire someone to do it for you. You might fall into a trap that you may not know what works and what doesn't. I haven't personally edited in 9 years. Like it's been that long. But I have constantly been there to figure out what we could do better with my editors. So I'm being trained and training them, and then we make a lot of adjustments based on the content that I want it to look like based on what's out there. So if you're not consuming content regularly and you're not knowledgeable on what you're doing, it's gonna be really hard for you to compete in this space. Starting off now, it's just so competitive. I started YouTube and streaming when it wasn't cool. Like when it was like no one wanted to be a YouTuber. I was a loser. Like, what? You're making gaming YouTube videos? It's like, and I was like, just like, yeah, it's so much fun. I'm a gamer. But now, like every kid in every school, every person wants to be a streamer or a gamer. It's like a big thing.
You're Garrett. You're just a regular dude. Sure, you're super successful, but you're a regular dude. And now you have all these people that you need to like direct and give a sense of direction, give feedback to, and you're managing all these people.
Money.
And yeah, you got to pay them out. You've got
unfortunately.
Like, why can't you just pay them in mouse pads, right? Like, what's the deal?
I know.
But that's a lot of responsibility. How do you balance? I mean, you're the creative. You're the guy on the camera. You're meant to be just shooting content. But you've got all this responsibility around you. I don't mean to bring you down by like sharing this.
No, it's true. It's
how
true.
do you deal with effectively being a manager, which is not really what you set out to do, versus being the creative?
Yeah. Personally, for me, it was very easy, but I know a lot of creators struggle with it. It's actually a big thing because there's a lot of creative minded people that don't want to have to manage people, and people are very hard. Us as humans, filled with emotion, drama, issues, goods and the bads. But in order to have a happy and successful team, like you have to be able to balance all those goods and bads to have a clear direction of what everyone is to do. And I am very fortunate because we have a very clear direction, goals. Everyone on the team knows that their happiness comes first. And like that's very random for when you join a team. But like I let them know, like, hey, if you are not enjoying yourself working here and being on this team, then how do we fix that? Because like if they're not happy, then they can't create the best for me. And I have to be happy in order to create the best content for the viewers. So it's a full cycle. So I managing people really, really well by realizing that, hey, I am only going to work as good as the people that are working for me, and make sure that they're compensated and they're happy and they want to work towards that bigger picture goal to always build and innovate and just always change it up. Like if we need to switch direction on a dime, like, hey, we're going this way. Like a lot of them would be like, ask questions why to learn. And I think that's what's been great about my team is that lately I've been hiring a lot of consultants in the YouTube space that are very, very well known, like knowledgeable. And I've been teaching them like more and more every day to take more and more off my plate. So I think keeping them happy has been like how I've dealt with it. But it definitely hasn't been
To
easy.
give people a sense, like where's the
Definitely,
team at? Are you 10, 20? Like what kind of range are you in?
So right now we're at 11 because we're currently training someone up to hopefully take over my position as like the CEO of my company. That has been something I want to do for a while because I don't want to have to do all the managing anymore because it's very time consuming. It drains a lot of my energy that I want to put towards making content. So ideally I want to train someone to be that guy that everyone goes to. But yeah, we're at 11 right now. That includes editors, thumbnail artists, content managers, creative director, and right now, like, I guess work training CEO. It's been definitely
That's
a journey.
impressive for the geek that started out. You know, no one else wanted to do it. You were just making these silly little videos. Now you got a team
Yeah.
of 11.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got here, but I know that throughout my process, I started realizing like, hey, I need help. Like I cannot do this. I cannot manage like uploading to all these socials. I cannot manage like creating content and then figuring out what content strategy we need to tackle while also figuring out like fine tuning thumbnails. And I was also editing back then too. So it was like between the editing, like figuring out thumbnails, like content strategy, it was a full-time job before it was even paying me. Like before I was even making any money, it was just my hobby. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Like I don't like I'm doing a lot here. And then when I started making money, which was like at the beginning in 2013, the launch of GTA 5, I started making 3 grand a month. And I was like, I'm set for life. I am rich. Because like I was rich in doing what I was making me happy and I was making enough money to get by. And now like to have a team of 11 people that are happy doing what they're doing, enjoy making the thumbnails, enjoy having conversation of how we can do better. I couldn't ask for a better team. But I will say it is incredibly hard to hire in this space. I'm always struggling to find quality
Well,
candidates.
I believe your website, right? They can go apply. So if anyone's listening, it's like I got this. I love Garrett. I gotta go apply. Do that. And then a shout out to Garrett's team because I'm
Yes.
sure some of you will like end up seeing this episode. So shout out to Garrett's team. One of the things I find fascinating is you've got all these channels. Sorry, all the content types,
Mhm.
and you've got all the channels.
Mhm.
Community
Yep.
building. Is it if I've got one community, one channel, that seems pretty straightforward. Not easy, but pretty
Yep.
straightforward. When you've got so many different content types, so many different channels, what does building a community
Mhm.
even mean in that context?
Very, very complicated. Community building on YouTube comparatively to like Facebook or Twitch or any live community, drastically different. Building a community on YouTube is not the same at all as live. Live communities are more engaging because they watch you when you're live. Live communities are overall just healthier, I think, in terms of their engagement and supporting their streamer and the content creator. Where communities on YouTube, they're very disconnected because what they're watching is content you produced and you put up. But with how big channels have become, like a lot of these creators are not micromanaging those communities and reaching out like very often. Like I, for the most part, will go into a video and read comments on Gary Blocks and Gaming Gary, and I'll heart all the ones that I think are good people, actual fans. But building a community on YouTube is very hard, especially because they don't really cross over very well. So, like, they won't go to Twitter, they won't go to Instagram. Like, those that do, like, it's a very small percentage comparatively to the base subscribers you have. But yeah, community building is very difficult. It's almost non-existent. You're building a fan base that is very disconnected with the true self of the content creator. Where on live, it feels way more like connected because you talk to them directly. They read your name in chat. They're right there with you.
You've got live, you've got short form, you've got long form on YouTube. You've now been doing live for a while on Twitch and now on Facebook. What do you enjoy more?
It's a double-edged sword question for me because business Garrett loves recorded content, right? Because it allows me to have more freedom with my life. It allows me to do more things and take more risks and create new channels and travel the world and do these things. Where live is very demanding of my time, but the sheer enjoyment I get from live makes up for that. So it's like I have this constant inner battle where it's like I love playing video games and I would play them for free. I love making people happy. So I love seeing live chat, but I hate having to be at my computer all day live for hundreds of hours a month because I don't feel productive enough. I want to make a bigger impact, and the biggest impact I can make is in recorded content because people can consume it whenever they want. Or live, it's only when I'm live, you know? So it's definitely, I'm conflicted. I don't know. Some days I love live more than videos. I use both to seesaw back and forth on where I want to be, and I'm usually just in the middle. Like I'll like sometimes just want to go live and play video games with my friends, and that's fun. But sometimes I love recording content and videos because my team's excited for the future, and they can't wait because they're more involved. They're like, oh my god, we're launching a bunch of new channels. This would be great. Like, we just hired a script writer. We're doing more scripted content. We're like doing shows. It's gonna be crazy. So yeah, it's give and take.
What's the day in Garrett's shoes look like?
Depends really. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays are my streaming days and YouTube days, where Tuesdays, Thursdays are specifically only recording. I'll spend Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's my gym days. I'll wake up. We just changed our schedule. We're trying this 20-20-20 process. I've never heard of it. We do
No, I
20
haven't.
minutes of working out, 20 minutes of yoga, and then 20 minutes of education where we learn things. So it's like in 1 hour, right when you wake up, you work out hard, you do yoga and just like mind, and then you educate yourself for your soul, I guess. Normally, I'll wake up, brush my teeth, get into the nitty gritty, do what I got to do, sometimes eat breakfast, and I'll just either jump right into a recording and start recording videos, like right when I wake up, like an hour after or so, or I will plan for what the day or week looks like. So it just depends. I'll have emails to catch up on. It's normally like hit or miss because the Tuesday, Thursdays are the biggest wrench in my days. Those are 12-hour recording days for Among Us. We start about 1 o'clock. Last night, we went till 3 a.m. The reason why is because these Among Us videos we're doing are completely brand new games that we're making and coding and developing. That team that runs that is run by Sunday, Double Jump company is the name. And I think they have about a team of 17 or 18 with like artists, developers. But Tuesday and Thursdays throw big wrenches into the rest of my week usually. So depending on what time I go to sleep on those nights is when I wake up. So usually around 11 to 1 p.m. Hit the gym around 3 to 4. Get back from the gym, shower, either go live or record for the channels. Which now with this new process, we've been recording a lot of videos less frequently. So it's been definitely some big changes. So like this month has been probably like the most drastic change I've seen in my career with upload schedule, quality, communication, mental health, everything. Just like making sure like I am happy. It's been cool. It's been really cool.
I'll be honest, I got a little bit of goosebumps. Just
Yeah.
partly because of conversation, Austin, and probably just hearing you say that life. Like, I mean, there's a lot to having a life, and it's so hard because it's so the beast, which is the algorithm, is so demanding of a content creator.
And as a streamer, it's even worse.
Yeah.
It's even worse. If I had a full-time stream right now, I don't know if I could. If that was all I did, just going live with 1 to 5 viewers in that grind, doing 8 hours a day, that would be very hard. And I commend every single person that's listening and watching that does that because it's not easy. Like, I've been in the shoes that many of you guys are in where it's like really sometimes demotivating, but I promise you that like once you figure it out and it works, it really works. Because I've been in those positions where it's like, man, this is never gonna work. And so one day it just happens. Like literally just boom. You get noticed by a big streamer or your video gets super pushed in the algorithm. Something happens that's right, and you're just like, oh my God, now I see my path. It's really weird how that works.
Yeah, it all just comes into focus. You're just like late. You're like, whoa. It's like you just like zone in, and you're like extremely present. Yeah, you were sharing just about this kind of balance and the shift you're going through. Is that what you're most excited about for the rest of this year?
This year's been hard because I don't know what I want. And that's the worst. In the beginning of this podcast, I explained doing what you know what you want to do will get you where you want to be, right? But lately I've been like, I know what I want, but I don't know if I'm going to get there the current path that I'm on. And that's why I'm going through so many changes to help me get there easier. Refocusing on myself because I've spent so many years dedicating to my craft and YouTube and streaming. And I think like when you get to my level that I've garnered and worked so hard towards, like sometimes I get so blinded by the machine where I'm like, oh, I got to do this. I was stuck in this really unhealthy cycle that I was like, I have to upload one video every single day or I'm a failure. And after meeting with a therapist and after like really talking out these emotions, I realized like, hey, like I don't need to do this. I am choosing to because I'm a great content creator. I don't need to do it every day. Even though sometimes it feels that way because sometimes when you take those breaks, it feels like you're taking 2 steps backwards, take 1 step forward. And I realized that those breaks, those days off that I have, which are Mondays and Tuesdays from recording YouTube videos specifically, are really healthy. I come back way more invigorated, like excited, like just ready to go. But I still do stream on those days. So what's a day in the life of Garrett look like? Right now, we're a little complicated, but I guarantee you by the end of this year, I'll have a way more focused plan of like how we're going to tackle these very small hurdles. My problems, first world problems. I'm so happy to have these problems. Problems are great.
It should put it into perspective for a lot of people listening that you look at Garrett and you're like, this guy's got it all figured out. He's fucking nailing it. He's also asking himself his own questions at the same time. And I think it's a testament to who you are as a man, quite frankly, that you can kind of show up that humility, even though you've achieved so much already.
Yeah. I think it's important because, man, like you are your biggest critic. Like you got to hold yourself accountable. You got to be able to be like, hey, am I really happy? Do I really want this bad? And if you do, then do it. Like I think everything is impossible until it's possible. Like that's like my favorite saying. Like everything is impossible until it's possible. Because like for a long time, like even my girlfriend would always be like, oh no, I can't do this. And I'm like, yes, you can. Do it. And then like a week later, she's like, oh my God, I did it. And and even with me, like, oh my God, there's no way I could not upload every single day. No way. It's impossible. And then slowly but surely, I'm like, okay, my channels didn't die. Hey, I went away for a week and didn't upload. My channels didn't die. Like, of course, you'll come back a little bit less momentum, take a little bit, get back into it, but like, it'll be okay. Like, I sometimes have to remind myself, like, the world's not ending. I'm still here. Channels didn't die. Team's still happy. All right, we're good. So, definitely been interesting.
I love it. Well, I am so excited to see how this year pans out for you, Garrett. Thanks so much for just sharing everything today. This is a phenomenal episode. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. And I wish the best to anyone that's listening or watching. And if you guys have any questions, you guys are free to tweet at me. I'll try to get back to most of you guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I wanted to just end this with a little bit of context on why we do what we do. We're former content creators ourselves, and we just really want to help as many content creators as we can. That's why we started Pipeline.gg. It's a platform where you can find other like-minded creators and learn from the pros who have already been there. Get step-by-step guidance so you can avoid all the mistakes that we made in the beginning. If you love the episode, there's going to be even more inside of Pipeline. So check it out. Head over to Pipeline.gg.